A Gallup poll of more than 1 million employed workers in the United States concluded that the #1 reason people quit their jobs is a bad boss. According to award-winning speaker and former Albuquerque resident Stephen Garber, whether you are the leader or on the team, every relationship works infinitely better when it's treated as a partnership. And I'm so pleased to say that Stephen is joining us this morning back in Albuquerque.
And I am so glad to be here. I had my green chili fix this morning.
Good
and
for you.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
This is really important. Will you start by telling us what are the 5 biggest mistakes that people make that doom them to failure at work?
Well, the overview is everybody needs to take responsibility for themselves.
Yes, good point.
And that's the key to this. So #1 would be to take responsibility.
Okay.
The number 2 one is to be sure everything you're doing is to build trust. Because people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Right.
And trust is such an important part. And there are many things that we've worked with people on what builds trust and what busts trust.
That is so true because, you know, I think you spend more time often with people at work than you do with people in your personal life. So you really do build these relationships.
There's no question, and you know, the quality of our lives at home, at work, it's dictated by the quality of our relationships.
So true. So
when
you
our
want to build trust.
Exactly. When our relationships are good, then our life is good, and when they're not good, then life isn't so much fun anymore.
Absolutely.
So we believe in the foundation of a great relationship is trust.
Okay, so that's the number 2.
That's number 2, correct. Number 3 is to be aware of yourself. Okay, we are in a good mood, we're in a bad mood. A lot of people say, oh, you know, it's just business, I'm not going to bring that to work.
Yeah,
or,
right.
You know, I'm not going to bring that home, or, you know, that's home, I'm not going to bring it to work. And the truth is, we load it up and we bring our baggage wherever we go.
You got that right.
So if you've had a bad day at home, if you had a fight with the wife or your husband, or the kids are acting up, that's probably not the time to go in and conquer something really important to you at work.
Be aware of yourself.
Be aware of yourself.
Good tip. Really
be
good
aware
tip.
of yourself. The next one is really pay attention to others. Okay, there's a really emotional intelligence, which is one of the things I specialize in.
Okay.
How we can be aware of how others are and how we can manage their moods and their attitudes as well as our own.
How do we do
start
that?
with, well, pay attention to what they're telling you. You know, when a lot of people tell us things, as a coach, I hear things all the time.
Sure.
And people say to me, how'd you know that? You told me. You
right,
told me.
right.
If you really pay
You're
attention.
really listening.
But you're not paying attention when you're talking like this, and you know, you're on your computer or you're on the phone and talking to someone else at the same time.
Well, we all try to multitask so much, it's sometimes hard to do that. So you have to really hone in and focus.
Hone in, focus, and if you can see someone has something going on, take the time to connect with that.
That's a good point.
Because we all care about ourselves and each other, and it's about having a good time at work.
That's a good point.
You've had a career at different stations. You know the difference in cultures and attitudes.
Absolutely.
And that makes a huge difference to how you feel about going to work, the people you work with, and then the job you'll do.
You're absolutely right.
Right,
It's so true.
That would be number 4. And then one that really people, I think, miss a lot is have a sense of purpose. The great companies, the great leaders, they convey a sense of this is why we do what we do.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. So, you know, as a dad and others who are dads and aunts and uncles, anyone who's dealt with 2-year-olds, what's the question they ask all the time?
Why?
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 And then when you answer them, what do they say? Why?
Exactly.
They just keep asking why.
Exactly.
So what we know is we have an innate drive to understand why. And when we can tap into that, Apple taps into that incredibly well. Google taps into that incredibly well.
So right.
And you know, in Boca Raton, which we're both familiar with, there's an Apple store and a Sony store. You go into the Sony store, it's beautiful. Their stuff is wonderful. Great design.
Right.
Nobody's there.
Right, you don't have the customer service.
Exactly. You go to the Apple store,
that.
and it's buzzing.
Well, let me ask you this. What are some of the keys to having awesome success at work? Beyond those 5 points, what would you say?
Well, one of them, I mean, the typical is plan your work, work your plan.
Okay.
Another one is, and this is one where we work with a lot of people on this, you have to know your boundaries. So say you and I are working together, and we make an agreement about what you're going to do and what I'm going to do, and what you're going to communicate and what I'm going to communicate.
Okay.
We go out of the meeting, and I go and communicate what you were supposed to communicate.
Right, right.
Okay? How are you going to feel when I do that?
Right, I feel blindsided, and then I don't know what my purpose is anymore.
You don't know what your purpose is. We confuse the people that are working for us, because then you go
So
and
true.
communicate it your way. And we've all played the telephone game.
Oh yes,
You know,
oh yes.
You know the
It goes-
telephone game?
The message changes
The
along the way.
Right. So any two people are going to change the message.
Good
And
point.
now when it goes down through an organization, it gets really changed.
Yeah.
So communicate, 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 and when you're done,
Great tip.
communicate some more.
Well, what happens when, a lot of people out there are working for themselves? So why should this matter to them? What about those people?
That's a great question. The solopreneurs, as we call them
Yes,
these days,
yes.
right, the solopreneurs. Well, I'm sort of a solopreneur in my own way.
Sure.
I still have someone who works for me in my office. I have the gentleman who runs my websites. I have the people who help me with my marketing. I still have a team.
Right,
A
right.
solopreneur still has a team.
That's a true
And you have
statement.
clients. And you have clients. So people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Yes.
All things being equal. All things not being equal, people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
That's right.
I'm going to come back to somebody I know and like and trust to do business. So it's in some ways even more
Right.
important as a solopreneur than at the workplace.
Well, I wish I could talk to you all hour because you have such good information. So
Thank
how
you.
can people find out more about you and these wonderful messages?
Well, as you pointed out, it's a partnership is the concept we're working on,
Yes.
even for solopreneurs or people at work.
Okay.
So crackingthepartnershipcode.com.
Crackingthepartnershipcode.com. I
That's
love
it,
it. What a
yes.
pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
being
very
here.
much. I appreciate it.
I paid attention too.
You listened, as did I. Thanks so very
Thanks
much.
so much.